Don't come after my hero, Mike Jackson. Okay? Because if you do, me and you're gonna have a problem. Don't be playing with the king of pop, my man. Don't be playing with my boy Mike Jack. Don't be playing with my boy Michael Jackson. Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Big Buck with the beats here. This is my, I don't know how many reactions I did. And today I'm gonna be reacting shit. Can you truly separate the art from the artist? Right off from the bat, I think the question is, should we separate the art from the artist? I think that's the biggest topic, because there are I will put this lightly as I could, a lot of things that that we as artists and performers and stuff did stuff that not everybody is proud of, but I will say that sorry, I'm trying to really gather my thoughts, but it depends on it depends on the crime, really. I mean, there are some things that we can learn and grow from, things that we can learn from, and to avoid making similar mistakes, or it's just a whole lot of things, really, if we want to be truly honest. But let's just dive right into this video.
It's Big Bu.
I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I'm a broke boy, but I got big dreams. I may be a broke boy, but I got big dreams.
With the recent allegations against David, his streams have shot up, with him having his biggest streaming day ever with 12 million streams. This has prompted a response from many people who are saying things like, if you're still listening to David's music, you're a piece of shit. The entire discourse has reignited the age-old debate of, can you...
What's shocking to me is that I use band labs like David and Brody Rich and all that, and it's just really disheartening that artists like that. I mean, I learned about David through this case, which is this is a one way to really find out about an artist in the most awful way possible.
You separate the art from the artist, and I'm finally here to settle this argument. I'm just kidding. This is an extremely nuanced, subjective, and complicated subject, so this is just kind of my opinions. I'm making this video because of the recent David allegations. If you don't know, David is an artist who blew up a few years ago from his song Romantic Homicide. I did a whole video on him already about all the allegations, and if you want his whole story, you can check that out. But originally, the song's meaning could be interpreted as a song about the relationship being dead, with lyrics like, "In the back of my mind you died." And David made a lot of these darker love songs that many fans really enjoyed. But recently, he's been accused of having a relationship with a 14-year-old girl with their...
Why would he throw away a career because of that? I don't understand, but the case is still ongoing, so it's really, I'm just waiting like everybody else about this case and what's unfold that particular time.
Relationship allegedly beginning years before then. Then, allegedly, he killed her, dismembered her body, and left it in the trunk of his Tesla.
Why?
David is 20 years old, by the way. So basically, he's being accused of being a pedophile and a murderer. Like I said, after all of these allegations...
So basically being an EDP who's looking for a cupcake.
allegations, his streams shot up, which prompted a lot of anger from people, with people saying things like, "Stop streaming this weirdo," and "Y'all are ignorant and disgusting." In response, I've seen people saying you can still separate the art from the artist, and I'm here to say, in this particular instance, I really don't think that's possible, because most of David's songs are about love, darker subject matter, and things along those lines. Someone even said, making part of your whole discography a literal confession tape in the most elaborate of ways is beyond disgusting and quite literally insane. So clearly people are interpreting his music as having some sort of relationship with his actual crimes. If you
wait, first and foremost, that pause is kind of outdated, but I will say that there are instances where you can separate art from the artist, but this one I really can't given the crimes, unless new developments. So
if you heard this news and then went to listen to his music, I doubt the allegations of him being in a relationship with a child and then killing her will be able to escape your brain. It sure won't for me. And I'm someone who had listened to his music beforehand, but going back and actually hearing these songs again or looking at the lyrics, it's pretty hard to differentiate that from what he's been accused of. Pretty much all of his lyrics can be interpreted in a weird way following these allegations. Like on Here With Me when he says, "And if it's right, I don't care how long it takes," which could refer to the big age gap. Or on Ghost when he says, "He might have you, but I've got your ghost." He even has a song called Right Now where he says, "We can worry about the consequences later. Now we doing things I can't even say in a song. It feels so right, but it feels so wrong." And of course, then there's the lyrics on Romantic Homicide, which literally just sounds kind of like what the situation is. I mean, it's truly hard to read through these lyrics or listen to these songs without ascribing any sort of weird association with what he's been accused of. Because of this, when it comes to a lot of his music, I think it's pretty much impossible to separate the art from the artist, especially because
facts, like, but there's so many things I wanted to say in David's part, which I'm not defending him. I'm just looking at his whole case like, what? Like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you, David, man? Why are you trying to find ways to ruin your career, man? Like, if you wanted to ruin your career, you could just go, you know what? I'm going to stop right there because I was about to say things out of pocket. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to continue watching this.
People who make good music, or really any form of art, there are two main camps they tend to fall into. David is a good example of someone who makes music that is closely associated with his alleged crimes. The subject matter of a lot of his music is pretty hard, if not impossible, to separate from the artist itself. Whereas there are artists where the songs or art is quite different from what the artist is accused of doing wrong, and I think the best example of this is Kanye West. Kanye West has had an extremely controversial career, but most recently he's been getting flack over these last few years for being anti-Semitic. He even said just straight up that he's a Nazi. He was selling t-shirts that had swastikas on them, kicking it with Alex Jones. He had a bunch of ex-employees file a ton of lawsuits against him with a bunch of crazy stuff in them. Back in the day, he was saying slavery was a choice and a whole lot more. But he made Graduation as a joke. Some of Kanye's recent music, similar to David's, is quite on the nose and directly ties in his controversies to his art. Like on his song Vultures when he said, "How can I be anti-Semitic? I just the Jewish bit." Or the extreme version of that with his song Hail Hitler, where the chorus is just him repeating that phrase over and over and over again. These, similar to David's songs, probably aren't easy for people to listen to. You literally, in my opinion,
I stopped listening to
cannot separate the art from the artist because it.
I understand what Matt is trying to say, but for Ye to say Hitler's name and all of that, I can't get past it. I really can't get past it. Like, I stopped listening to Ye after Life of Pablo. Like, I can't. He does, in my opinion, and not to take this the wrong way, but he doesn't make great music no more. But that's just me.
It's super conjoined. I mean, he even said that this next album got that anti-Semitic sound. But Kanye has also made dozens of classics throughout his career that have nothing to do with anti-Semitism or his crazy beliefs. Power, Stronger, Bound to, Father Stretch My Hands, Runaway, Ghost Town, Devil in a New Dress, On Sight, All Falls Down, Champion. These are some of my favorite Kanye songs, and they have nothing to do with the crazy stuff that he's talking about. Now, obviously, I'm not defending Kanye's actions at all, but I don't think because 10 years later he started going off the rails means that these songs are now void. And I think they're well enough removed from any crazy ideologies. This is a big contrast from David, whose biggest and best songs can and probably do have a direct correlation with the things he's been accused of lately. It may be hard to listen to new Kanye songs, but old ones are pretty far removed from all the recent controversy. However, there's arguably someone that's in the middle of these two a little bit, probably leaning more towards David, and that would be R. Kelly. R. Kelly has a ton of massive songs.
I already covered R. Kelly once in my on my podcast development show about his court case, his second court case and trial that led him to be convicted. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend you do. Now back to the video.
Some, like I Believe I Can Fly, in my opinion, are completely removed from his
Again,
crimes. However,
he ruined
a
it for
lot
himself.
of his music is love songs, which can make them hard to listen to when he's been accused of terrible things. Not accused, he's also been convicted, but he's been accused of more. You know what I mean. If you aren't aware, R. Kelly was a massive R&B star who has a rap sheet full of sexual crimes. First of all, he married Aaliyah when she was 15 and he was 27. That's not even an accusation, that's just a fact, which is insane. Then, over the years, multiple women came out and accused him of assaulting them, with a bunch of them being underage. Police also charged him with 21 counts of making child sexual abuse videos involving various sexual acts. And there was way more over the years, many of which he was found guilty of. So, as you can imagine, after hearing or knowing all of this about R. Kelly, it can be pretty.
And his own daughter actually came forward with her own accusations against her own dad. It's just disgusting in itself.
Hard to go back and listen to these love songs, since it very possibly could be lingering in the back of your head that these songs could be about kids. Fans have said things like, I don't listen to his music anymore. With everything I now know about him, hearing his music makes me really uncomfortable. I don't think
he even
I
wrote
could
for Michael
separate the art from
Jackson,
the artist,
which is
even
crazy.
If I wanted
Not
to.
once,
Someone else
not
said,
twice,
I
but
find
3
it harder
times.
because some of his songs he's practically bragging about it. The infamous Aaliyah album cover, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and he's standing in the fucking background. But R. Kelly having such massive hits and big songs before these accusations actually came out starts to raise another problem. A lot of people probably developed an emotional connection to these songs before knowing any of this stuff about R. Kelly even happened. Personally, I didn't. I was a kid back then, so I wasn't really listening to R. Kelly. And this might not be the best example of someone for what I'm about to say. I think Kanye's probably a better example, but I just had to transition there, so don't take that too seriously. One of the hardest parts about separating the art from the artist is sometimes you already have a deep connection to the song before anything comes out about the artist. A lot of casual listeners, for example, will throw on the radio, find a song they like, listen to that one song from a random artist without ever doing the extra work of finding out who the artist is or more about them. Most of us probably have a handful of singles that we associate with a time or a place or a season in our lives without thinking too hard on maybe what it's about or the artist themselves. And Digging the Greats made a video on this topic and brought up a great point.
And here's what I figured out about why music, more than other mediums, is so hard to separate from the artist. It's because music is a time machine. There are some songs that, when you hear them, instantly transport you back to the moment you heard it.
I can see why he
For
says
me,
that.
when I hear Jump by Criss Cross, I'm transported back to elementary school. Me and my friends are trying to wear our clothes backwards because that's what Criss Cross does. And life is so simple, and I'm just trying to work on spelling and math and sit with my friends at lunchtime. And here's the thing. They aren't just memories. You can describe these things in vivid detail, and that's one thing. But when you hear the music you were listening to at the time, the feeling comes back. It's a musical feeling time machine. This is why it's so hard to separate the art from the artist, especially the older you get. It's not as easy as just saying, I'm not going to listen to their music.
I agree on what this man's saying. Like, I agree with what he's saying, but to me, again, it depends on the person.
Music anymore, because in some cases the music is so tied up with your memories, you're effectively saying, I'm not gonna go visit that specific memory in my emotional time machine anymore.
If you watched Invincible and heard the song Feel It, but nothing else from David, you would probably be fine listening to that song again because you have a different emotional connection to it rather than those who are big fans of the rest of his catalog. A lot of my high school memories are tied to artists coming up in the SoundCloud era. And if Uzi went crazy and started killing people or saying crazy things, it would be pretty tough for me not to go back and listen to those old hits. The new stuff I could easily skip, that's fine, but I'd be missing out on nostalgic memories that my mind is associating with these songs. There are a bunch of songs that you can put on and that will instantly transport me back to a time or a place. And I'm sure you guys have similar songs as well. There's even songs I was listening to while I was like playing video games like Fortnite or COD with my friends that I can remember exactly where I was on each map. There are probably songs you associate closely with relationships, important memories, friends, grief, and things along those lines. When you're listening to these songs, you're not thinking about the artist or what they did. This is a scientific thing too. With
I agree what Matt is saying. Of course, it's like, of course, it's a little bit difficult to really separate yourself fully. I mean, there are some songs that I could skip, but but the rest of them are too emotional, depending on which artist that I like the most. Again, just in case I didn't express this enough. I'm all for it. Just don't come after my hero, Mike Jackson. Okay? Because if you do, me and you're gonna have a problem. Don't be playing with the king of pop, my man. Don't be playing with my boy Mike Jack. Don't be playing with my boy Michael Jackson. Anyway, let's get back to the video, shall we?
The only case I could see in which you forsake these super important songs is if what the artist did was so heinous that you just could not listen to it at all anymore. Like R. Kelly, for example, and what the Redditor was saying earlier, who said they just can't bring themselves to listen to it anymore. There was also this guy, Ian Watkins, from a band called Lost Prophets, and I'm surprised that he got stabbed. He was accused of some awful pedophilic crimes that I couldn't even explain how bad they were in words. So if I was a fan of them beforehand, there's just no chance I'd ever listen to their music, and I bet it's hard for a lot of fans to do that as well. Regardless, music is a lot more than just the artist or the song. Music is the soundtrack to different parts of your life. And to simply cut that out because Kanye did a bunch of terrible things 10 or 15 years after the fact isn't as easy for some as it may be for you. Again, another clarification. I'm not defending any of these artists, and I'm not saying that you should for sure listen to their music. I'm not trying to say that we should always separate the art from the artist. I'm just saying in some instances it's a lot harder than it might be in others. I think one of the strongest arguments I've heard for separating the art from the artist is the fact that it isn't just one artist making these songs. Kanye, for example, has tons of people who work on his music, and popular music in general typically has producers, writers, the singers themselves, engineers, and more who make this music. I saw a conversation about this on Reddit where someone said, "To me, great art is great art. If I heard a great song on the radio and don't know who it is and think, man, what a great song, I'm not thinking about the artist at all. If I later hear that the person that wrote that song was a total piece of shit, does that make the song less great? What if I never learned anything about the artist? Is it still a great song? What if the piece of shit was the producer or drummer or lyricist or person who made the album cover? Where does it stop?" Someone responded saying, "I bet at least half of all music was made by someone who is shit in some way, not to mention the songs that involve like 10 plus people working on them. There's a small chance every one of them is a great person." And I think a great example for this point is Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke is a producer and songwriter who is behind a ton of popular music, but he's also been accused by Kesha of sexually and emotionally abusing her, as well as keeping her in a bad deal, which is why many fans and artists are no longer fans of him and have practically boycotted him. For example, when Katy Perry worked with him on her latest album, there was a ton of backlash. However, I'm gonna guess that most of you don't know this or aren't very familiar with Dr. Luke, but I'm willing to bet you've heard some of his songs, such as California Girls by Katy Perry, Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, Dark Horse by Katy Perry, TikTok by...
Yeah, it's all depressing. It's all depressing, man. It is. Anyways, YouTube, this has been, should we separate from, can we truly separate the art from the artist? And my answer to that is 50-50. So with that being said, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank y'all for watching the video. The videos that are, you know, new and hip. And thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on the social medias that is like under me. So and also don't forget to tune into my new music. You know, that's also under me. You know what I mean? So again, like and subscribe, and I try to post new content every other day. So thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you next time.